Today, we'll be assembling the pieces of this super useful folio template. This project uses 3 separate templates. One for the base, one for the decorative panels, and one for the little notepad. In the center, there is a place for 6 little cards to store useful information. The bottom flap closes with a little magnet to keep everything nice and together. The left side has a little pocket to store papers. Fold the folio over twice to close it. The little flap on the outside also has a little magnet to hold it closed. First, let's assemble the base of the folio. This first page contains the A piece. All we need to do here is cut off this little strip on the side. Here is what the A piece looks like once it is cut out. The second page contains the B piece and 2 of the C pieces. Cut along the solid lines here. You should have 3 pieces cut out from this page. Part B and 2 C's. The third page has the other 4 C's. Cut them out along the solid lines. Here's what they should look like. The last page of the template contains pieces D and E. Cut around the outside of each. You should end up with 2 pieces that look like this. Here are all of the base pieces you should have. A and B. 6 C's. D and E. Let's start with the A piece and the B piece. I am going to start by using a scoring board to score all the fold lines. On the larger A piece, there are 4 dotted lines to score. On the smaller B piece, there are 2 score lines. Now that we have scored all of the dotted lines, we'll go ahead and fold them, using a boning tool to press the creases down. The 2 folds next to each other should create a small spine, like a little book. Now, let's do the same thing with the 4 fold lines on the A piece. This one has two little spines. Let's take a closer look at the piece labeled B. If you were to measure the space on either side of the spine, you would notice that one side is just slightly smaller than the other. Orient the paper so that the smaller side is on the right. Arrange the pages so that B is on the left, with the smaller side on the right, and A is on the right with its smallest section on the right as well. Now, flip both pages over to the back side. For this step, we want to line up the edge of piece A with the rightmost fold on piece B. Like this. Add adhesive to that entire section of the B piece. Carefully line up the A piece on top and stick it down. If you line it up just right with the fold, there shouldn't be any overhang when you fold it. Flip the newly joined piece back over to the other side. You should be able to see the seam on this side. Put that piece to the side for now and take out the 6C rectangles. Each one should have a dotted line across one end. Let's grab our scoring board again and score that line on the 6C rectangles. Now, let's use the bone folder to crease down the folds. Now, let's attach the little C parts to the large piece we assembled earlier. Make sure the large piece is oriented with the smallest flap on the right side. The C pieces will be centered in this section of the large piece. Take one of the C pieces and orient it so that the little folded flap is on the bottom. When you glue it on, you'll want to place it so that the dotted fold line lines up with the top edge of the folio. Flip the little C over and add adhesive to the back of the little folded flap. Center the piece in the section, line up the dotted crease line with the top edge of the big piece, and stick it down. It doesn't hurt to press down this crease again, for good measure. Ideally, the fold should be aligned with the top, but not sticking out of the top where it would be visible from the back side. On the next piece, we want to align the fold with the bottom edge of the previous piece. Turn the piece so that the fold is on the bottom, then add adhesive to the back side of the little folded part. Continue this process until all 6 pieces are glued down in a waterfall-like structure. Use a bone folding tool to press down the creases again. Now, take out piece D. It's a simple rectangle with 2 fold lines, close together, at one end. Let's go ahead and score both lines. Fold both of the scored lines and crease them down with a bone folding tool. It should make a super thin spine. The outermost fold line will line up with the bottom edge of the big piece. Like this. Flip over the D piece and add adhesive to the back of the little flap. Center it in that section, line up the outermost line with the edge and stick it down. Now, you can flip all the waterfall pieces down, then flip the newly added piece up to cover them. Next, we're ready to add the little pocket piece, E. Notice that some of the lines on the edges are solid and some are dotted. Solid lines are for cutting, and dotted lines are for folding. Let's cut the solid lines first. Each little flap now angles inward. Now let's score the dotted lines. Then fold the little flaps and use a boning tool to crease them down. Orient the piece so that the long side is on the left, then add adhesive to the top side of the two little flaps. Fold the flaps back behind the piece. They should stick to each other in the corner. Now, line up the bottom left corner of the base with the corner of the pocket and carefully stick it down. We did it, the base is assembled. Let's add a few finishing touches. A corner rounder should do the trick. I'm going to use the R7mm side. Starting with the waterfall cover piece, use a corner rounder to round off the corners. Now, do the same thing to all 6 little waterfall pieces. Lastly, we'll add some little magnets to help hold it closed. Stick one magnet to the inside of the closing flap. Stick the 2 magnets together, then close the folio to place the second magnet on the cover. Let's also add a magnet to the waterfall flap on the inside. Now that the base is assembled, we're ready to add the decorative panels. On the first page we'll need to cut out the A piece, B piece, and the 3 spines. Here is what the pieces should look like when they are cut out. The second page of the template contains the 6 little waterfall pieces. Cut out all of the pieces and use the corner rounder on the bottom corners. The third page of the template contains the D, E, and F pieces. Go ahead and cut them out now. The D piece that goes over the waterfall cover flap will need its top 2 corners rounded. The fourth page of the template contains pieces A, B, and C. We will need to cut them out as well. The last page of the template contains piece D and the other 3 spine pieces. Cut them out. Now, let's attach the designed panels to the base. We'll start with inside piece labeled blue letter A. This is the piece that was called behind pocket. It will stick down behind the pocket. Flip the piece over and add adhesive to the back. Then carefully center it behind the pocket and stick it down. Next, find the pocket piece, which was labeled as blue letter B on the template. Turn it over and apply adhesive to the backside. Then, center it on the pocket and stick it down. Now, find the piece that covers the waterfall flaps. It was labeled with a blue D on the template and we rounded the top corners. Turn it over and apply adhesive to the backside, center it on the base flap and stick it down. Next, find the 6 little rectangles that were labeled with a blue C on the template. We already rounded the bottom corners. Lay them out and decide what order you want them to waterfall into from top to bottom. Then flip each one over, add adhesive to the back, center it over the flap you want it on, and stick it down. Next, find the piece labeled with a blue letter, E. This is the page that will go behind the notepad. Flip it over and add adhesive to the backside. Then, center it on the section to the right of the waterfall and stick it down. Find the last inside piece. On the template, it was labeled with a blue F. This piece covers the little closing flap on the far end. Turn it over and place adhesive on the backside. Center it over the flap and stick it down. Perfect. Now it's time to work on the outside panels. Arrange the base so that the closing flap is on the left side. Take out the outside decorative panels that were labeled in green letters, A through D, on the template. Let's start by finding the piece labeled with a green C on the template. This is the front cover. Apply adhesive to the backside, center it on the section with the magnet, and stick it down. Next, find the piece labeled with a green D on the template. Turn it over and place adhesive on the back. Center it on the far right section and stick it down. Find the piece labeled on the template with a green B. This is the back of the folio. Turn it over and place adhesive on the back. Center it on the last large section on the left, and stick it down. Now, for the narrow strip labeled with a green A on the template. Add adhesive to the back, center it on the closing flap and stick it down. Last, but not least, we are ready to add the little spine accents. There are 3 on the inside and 3 on the outside. Add adhesive to the back of each one, center it over the spine and stick it down. Now, for the inside. Voila! The last thing we need to do is create the little notepad and attach it to the folio. The notepad template prints 3 pages on a sheet. Start by cutting out all of the notepad pages. Stack the pages as neatly as possible so that the top edges line up nice and even. Then, use binder clips to secure it in place. To hold the notepad pages together, we will use a liquid binding solution. Next, take a damp paintbrush and carefully coat the top edge with the binding liquid. Let the binding liquid dry for about 5 minutes or so. Once the binding liquid is dry, take off the binder clips. Add a strip of adhesive to the back of the notepad. Line it up where you want it on the folio. You can center it or align it more to one side, if you like. Done.